A massive thank you to Frankie, Liam, Eddie, Aiden and Eddie for subscribing to the channel. If you're already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 19 of our F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yesterday we returned to the Circuit of the Americas for the US Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on yesterday's video from Suzuka, I would highly recommend going back and checking out a fantastic race from the Japanese Grand Prix. Of course, can't wait to see it return in real life in 2022. But yeah, safe to say we've been on a decent little run of form over the last couple of races. You know, points are becoming a more possibility as we get towards the end of this first season. However, of course, we have had major rule changes announced ready for Season 2. So we are very quickly just going through behind the scenes, getting all those parts sorted on the car there. 13 more upgrades to go, but obviously the best thing to do if you know you get rule changes on F1 22, sort out the most expensive ones first. Literally just go most expensive to cheapest by the end of the year there, because that means if you can't get all of them done, of course then the upgrades that you then have to redo are then also cheaper because they're the cheaper upgrades, so you're saving yourself a lot of R&D points in the long run. But yeah, having a look then at the Drivers' and Constructors' World Championship. Charles Leclerc, there's a very big chance he could walk away this weekend as World Champion. He only needs to lose less than 20 points to Lewis Hamilton. So as long as he finishes 7th or higher here at Japan, Charles Leclerc, here at the USA, sorry, Charles Leclerc, World Champion, done and dusted. Ferrari as well, 160 point lead in the Constructors' Championship, so I think they can afford to lose 38 points? Sorry, 28 points even, if my maths hasn't failed me here, and they will also be world champions as well there. We're still 1 point behind AlphaTauri at this late stage of the game, so desperately want to try and jump them, and maybe with a bit of luck jump Aston Martin as well. There's currently sat P14 in the Drivers' Championship. But of course, yeah, if you're new around here and you're not already, please do make sure you get yourself a subscriber. Closing in now on 69,000 subscribers as well. So, you know, if you want to help us get one step closer to the funny number, it would be greatly appreciated. And of course, the big goal of 100k by the end of the year. But intro out of the way, let's get into it then here from Kota. Pirelli Hotlap up first. Right, well, let's see how well we can drift around Kota then in one of the McLarens for this one. I'm intrigued to see how we get on through the S's. Of course, often I find myself sliding through here when I don't want to. So the whole idea of now actually deliberately trying to do it is quite an alien one to me. It's look at that, get the back end right out as we head through the S's there. And that was, what, 2,500 points in one drift there. So that's got to be... Oh, there we go. That's gone round. Right, yeah, so, I mean, it's normal scores, 12,500 if we want to try and get the gold medal. Often the silver has been all we can achieve, but, yeah, let's just wait and see. Well, looks like Kota's had a few changes as well around it. We're seeing a few more sausage curbs in some different places. I certainly hadn't spotted them before as we head through the final sector. Just a minute left on the clock there, and there you can see just an example of what I'm on about. But can we try and get a really nice slide through the Turkey S section? Or a little bit of overcorrection on the way in, but look at the points just rack up as we head in towards the final couple of turns. Oh, it's all gone wrong. That's probably going to stop us from getting a gold medal here, and I mean, we should still be able to get the silver, but that's frustrating. And there we go then, out of the first turn. 9,000 points is just about going to clutch us up the silver medal there, so we definitely could have had gold had I not ruined that drift through the final sector. But silver medal, let's get into practice even, I should say, here at Kota. Right, well, here we are then, back at Kota for the US Grand Prix. Often been a weird track for me in the past. We've had some good races around here, we've had some really bad ones as well, but that's just the way Formula 1 goes sometimes. But yeah, see what we can do then on our tyre wear run, as that is not going to help me out. Nice chunk of wheel spin through turn 1, but we live to fight another day. Really now, sort of what we've learned for a lot of F1 22 so far is it's really just a case of how little wing can you get away with around most venues. And around Kota, That question is harder to answer than a lot of places. Heading round the final corner though to finish off my first practice programme. Oh, it is going to be close. We just get the purple score. Barely on the tyre life and barely on the delta. I don't know what's going on with these other practice programmes. I tried to do the race sim run, couldn't get under the delta, and now I'm definitely going to have the same luck in the qualifying sim. Often the pace around COTA can be a little bit ridiculous that the AI is predicting you to achieve, and then they tend to be a little bit slower in the race trim. But yeah, it's often quite a strong track for the AI, especially, you know, trying to learn, you know, it's quite a mix of low speed corners and the higher speed stuff. I mean, through here, ground effect, this should be easily flat out, and it still isn't for some reason. But yeah, might try and up the front wing ever so slightly, you know, just give ourselves a little bit more sticking power through the corners. But round the final turn, not a particularly great end to our practice programmes, but we need to get into qualifying. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like. Right, let's get into qualifying then, and honestly at COTA, I'm not expecting a huge amount here today. You know, if we can make it out of Q1, to be honest, not only will I be quite happy, it'll probably be a little bit of a miracle here. I think the goal should probably just be to out-qualify Felipe once more there, just, you know, continue to prove ourselves as the number one. I'm still unconvinced at the moment as to whether to re-sign him ready for next season. I think I'm probably going to put a poll up for you guys to decide, because, you know, he hasn't scored any points, but he has also been robbed on 2 occasions by the game. I mean, he would easily have sort of 11, 12 points this year had things gone his way. You know, 1 point at Austria, and then, what would it have been, 10, 12 points perhaps at Zandvoort as well there. So yeah, certainly has on occasion shown flashes of brilliance this season, but has also struggled a fair amount. As what is this? What am I meant to do? I'm literally racing into the sun. That is ridiculous, Codies. Right in the final corner though, up towards the flag. What's this first lap going to be? It's a 35.5. Not actually that far away then from where I wanted to be. We'll take that. Okay, maybe with 8 minutes left on the clock we won't take that lap time, as Drogovic is already down into the 34s, so we're going to need a bit more then. As Drogovic, you know, is racing pretty well at the moment. Through the final corner we go, up towards the line. I'm about to start my second run. Just need to be a bit more aggressive on the throttle through some places, and just try and make sure we get the car turned in, hitting our apexes, everything like that. I know I made a mistake here at turn 1. You can see that time around they're a little bit more confident on the brakes. Means we carry the speed through the corner, and immediately 3/10 found. That's what we need, just to continue doing that. Still racing into the sun, it would appear, down the back straight. There's 6/10 up already then on this second lap, and there was definitely a bit more time to find when we get down into the final sector. I mean, you're just trying to spot your braking point here with no idea sort of what's going on around you. It really is giving me Kimi Räikkönen Spa vibes, where he went through all that engine smoke. But through the final few turns then of the lap, just again trying to get a little bit more aggressive on the throttle, seeing what more pace we can try to find here. Now we head through the Turkey section. I'm going to try and keep it as close to pinned as I dare there. We were a little bit braver. We find a little bit more pace. I'm well aware, Mark. Oh, all over the curbs though. Through the penultimate corner and up towards the line. What are we going to do? Bit of a kick of understeer there, but up to the line. We go P18 then, 34.7. Still not quite up to Drogovic's pace, but better than it was. Right, 30 seconds left on the clock then is Drogovic, who is the man separating us from Q2. So we need to try and get a good lap in here. We need another couple of tenths of a second as we head out of the final turn. But that second lap was pretty tidy for the most part. We might just have to take some big risks in this final qualifying run. There was all a little bit late on the brakes through turn 1, but really try and get on the throttle as you head down the hill there. People are still improving though around me, so we are going to need a little bit more there as through the S's we go. Just try and keep it clean and tidy. back end really wanted to break free there. I could feel that underneath us, but we hang on. And then as we head out through the exit, oh, really attack the curves through there. But we do get away with it. There is 2/10 up as we head down the hill. Other cars are improving. You can just see everyone around me. The order is shifting, so we need to try and get a nice tidy run out of the hairpin there. A little bit hesitant on the throttle, but still 1/4 of a second up as we head down the back straightaway here. Sebastian Vettel, he can only improve to P21 as the session is coming to an end, but what more can we do here? It's 3/10 up now. We are just finding a little bit more. We're just gaining a little bit more confidence in the car as we try and just slide the back end round a little bit more as we push for just those little extra tenths, hundredths of a second really, if I'm being honest. But we need to try and find him there. He's lifting out on the way in, so hopefully we can get a better run on the way out. 2 more corners to go then here of qualifying for the US Grand Prix. We keep it clean and tidy through the penultimate, through the final turn. Are we going to improve enough? We're 4/10 up to the line. P16. That's what I love to see. We make it through into Q2. Absolutely loving that then at the end of qualifying, as Valtteri Bottas has picked himself up a 5-place penalty, I should say. But Hamilton, Russell fastest then, so Mercedes have definitely got some good pace. Charles Leclerc only down in P7 though at the end of Q1, but Tsunoda, Drogovic, Latifi, Ricciardo, Vettel and Albon out in the first qualifying session there. We make it through by less than, what's that, 1/40th of a second, the gap between myself and Tsunoda. But we're going to need an absolute worldie of a lap if we want to go any higher than P16. Let's get into Q2. We'll get one glory run. Like I said, not convinced we're going to go any higher than P16, but I think it's a 34.3 is the benchmark by Joe Guanyu. So we may as well just go all out, take all the risks we possibly can on this one and only run here in Q2. Rise up the hill towards that first corner. Want to be spotting the black box on the outside. That is already far too early on the brakes through the first corner. Big chunk of wheel spin on the way out as well. Don't let the lap completely get away from me through the first couple of turns. Going to leave it in 7th gear in through the S's. Oh, that's a little bit wide, but we get actually the back end to play ball there through the second part, as they're often pretty quick through this first sector. It really is just the rest of the lap there is again attacking the curves, rattling over those as we plummet down the hill. They're braking just at the 100-meter board. Again, you want to attack a lot of curb through there, really try and get the nose through. And then as we head out onto the back straight, kind of just guess, to be honest, at this point where the DRS zone is, because there's no way you're going to be able to spot it out. And then approaching speeds towards 205 miles an hour as you get down to the end of the back straightaway. Keep it tidy, keep it clean, don't allow the wheel spin through there. And through these next couple of corners you can try and kick the back end out a little bit there. You want to just feel it skating around underneath you. You just want to try and make any sort of gains we possibly can here. May as well just gamble it through the final sector here. Are we going to be able to take a completely pinned? Yes we are. Look at that, first time all session long there, and we may as well have done that. It's using all the curbing through the penultimate corner up towards the checkered flag. What time are we going to achieve? It's only going to be a 34.5 there, I think, or something like that. Not good enough, but hey-ho. And there we go then, having a look at the end of Q2. Hamilton fastest there, but Charles Leclerc back on the money. Really for him, it's just a case of do what I need to this weekend there. But Bottas does sneak through into Q3. And like I said, yeah, we were a few tenths away at the end of the session there, but really wasn't even expecting to make it into Q2. Let's get into it then here for the US Grand Prix. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by taking the top step of the podium for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what I wonder is in store for us here today. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, where 20 corners and speeds of up to 200 miles per hour await us on this magnificent racetrack. It's 60% full throttle with plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the two DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. What a race we have in store today. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, and Sir Lewis Hamilton. They've taken a grid penalty, and Ocon, Mick Schumacher, Sainz, Mr. Monaco, and Yuki Tsunoda. Magnussen, Perez, Felipe Drugovich, and Fernando Alonso. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Gasly, Latifi, Guan Yu Zhou, and Sebastian Vettel. Stroll, they've taken a grid penalty. Ricciardo, Bottas, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Right, well here we are then, on the grid, ready for the USGP, and penalties absolutely everywhere here. We've been moved up 7 places and into the top 10 by virtue of other cars with issues here, so that works out really nicely for me. However, of course, we have still got to worry about where Aston Martin and AlphaTauri are come the end of this race. Of course, medium hard the race strategy today, not going to try and gamble it like I did at Suzuka last time round. It almost worked. Almost, I think, is the key word there. But yeah, fingers crossed today that we can keep it clean and tidy early on in this GP. And yeah, see what we can do then, as Tsunoda starting just alongside me inside the top 10. And I mean, Drugovich not far away either. Well, Charles Leclerc, quite possibly the biggest day in the young Monegasque driver's F1 career. He could leave the US Grand Prix as Formula 1 World Champion here. He doesn't even need to win this thing. Hamilton, Sainz and Verstappen all have to win if they want any chance of keeping this title battle alive, but Charles Leclerc lines up from pole, and yeah, he really doesn't need to take any risks today, as we're going to try and do a nice big burnout in towards our grid slot. Oh no!
The best placement there, mate. Let's try and get a good launch as the race starts.
Oh dearie me, we have messed up the start badly.
Be patient and watch for those lights.
Let's just get into it then. US Grand Prix, round 19 of 22 here, and we're going to be starting up in P9 for this weekend. 5 red lights on the grid, and it is going to be lights out. Oh, we haven't gone anywhere. Why haven't we gone anywhere? What was that about? It said optimal RPM, and we just went nowhere off the start there to the inside, down at turn 1. That's not my finest driving, but we've recovered up a lot of the spots that I lost off the start there, and it has meant in the end we've only lost the 2, might even only be the 1, as we go sub.
Wow, that was a heck of an impact. Let me know you're okay.
What was that? Kevin Magnussen? You can see we get down the power on the exit of turn 1 there, still alongside K-Mag. He's clearly aware I'm there, because he gives me the room through the first part, and just sends me to the Shadow Realm. I mean, I'm not one for restarting these races normally, but that's going to be a pretty dull video if we just get to the end of qualifying, and then suddenly we're out. by turn 3. I'm going to restart this once, but please let me know if in the future, you know, if these things do happen, whether you just want that to be over for me, because that's annoying. Right, here we are then, attempt 2 on the grid for the USGP, 5 red lights, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go. And a lot more throttle that time round means we're not going to quite get as bad a start as we head up the hill in towards turn 1. Going to try and look at Carlos Sainz there making moves through the first corner as we get a little bit of contact with Tsunoda, and I think it was Kevin Magnussen on his outside there. Lando Norris all over the road. Everyone is all over the road at the moment. It's just trying to avoid the other cars at the start of the GP. Like I said, you know, if I do use rewinds, I like to make it very clear to you guys that's what I've done. But yeah, let's say if in the future, say Mexico, someone absolutely no brakes us down into turn 1 and we lose a wheel, if you guys want that to be the end of the video, you know, I do like to keep it as realistic as you would like me to there. A bit of a wobble as we went out of the S's here, but we have survived the opening lap the opening few corners this time round. I think that's pretty great, Mark, to be honest, when you consider how bad our starts are still on F1 22. But I think, yeah, today is going to be, you know, focusing on our mirrors, I think, rather than focusing on the cars in front. But we have seen such a sort of shift in the midfield this year. You know, all the cars now so competitive that you really can sort of battle a car that might, on paper, be 4 or 5 cars ahead of you. Let's just see what we can do then early on. And Charles Leclerc, he still leads the way comfortably as we round the final few corners of lap 1. Like I said, he doesn't need to take any big risks this weekend. He could be world champion with a P7 in any of the final 4 races of the year. But we absolutely need to try and score big points because, you know, both ourselves and AlphaTauri want to close up that 5 and 4 point margin respectively to Aston Martin. The end then of lap 2, it might only be briefly, but we have got the 1 second gap over Yuki Tsunoda here, so Yuki clearly still struggling a little bit in that AlphaTauri. I mean, in our perfect world, we'd come through for P9 at the very worst, and neither AlphaTauri or Aston Martin would score points here. It's so weird. Normally, I love to see the little guys doing well on the F1 games, but as we are still one of the other little guys, I absolutely don't at the moment, early on in the game cycle. I'm sure, you know, sort of 3-4 seasons down the line, maybe with a championship or 2 under our belt, I'll be willing Tsunoda on in these Grand Prix, but not at the moment, I don't think. We are still hanging on inside the DRS then of Mick Schumacher early on in this GP, and I think he has just lost out to Esteban Ocon, so might be able to apply more pressure to the Haas, but you know, it is a long old race here at COTA, 28 laps ahead of us. As well, you can see Tsunoda and Kevin Magnussen trying to trade P10. Nice to actually see Haas, you know, going to have a shot at scoring some points at their home GP for the first time in a good few seasons. It's been far too long, I must admit. I know I've said it before, but being able to actually support Haas again in 2022, such a joy, because like I said, you know, I do support the underdogs in Formula 1, and Haas is absolutely a team I got behind when they came into the sport. So, you know, thank you. Well, really, we should be saying thank you to Mazepin's money, to be honest, because he's the reason they've been able to get anywhere again in Formula 1, as K-Mag has now got the jump on Tsunoda. Alonso now has got the jump on Tsunoda. I think Yuki's going backwards. Mick Schumacher there, just seeing him kick out the back end ever so slightly, as we are using a lot of battery early on, but just trying to make sure we stay close to the Haas car. I'm a little bit worried, to be honest, if we lose out the DRS to Mick, we are just going to fall into the clutches of Fernando Alonso and Kevin Magnussen. To be honest, Alonso seems to be a man on a mission anyway. They're all just slowly moving past Yuki, and then immediately starting to take a bit of time out of myself and Mick Schumacher. There was a nice tidy run out of the final corner. Are we going to be close enough to actually have a send in towards turn 1? I could have, but I'm going to hold back for now. We've got to think of the long game. Right, activate the DRS then all over the back of Mick Schumacher. We got yellow flags out. Am I going to be able to go for a move then? I think it's one of the McLarens with issues. There are the yellow flags, and Mick Schumacher is going to completely run himself off the circuit there as Lando Norris out of the Grand Prix. So we've gained 2 places then in one single moment there, but that got a little bit sketchy between myself and Mick. I guess the good thing for us is, of course, we're up 2 spots, and the Haas car's lost a little bit of time behind us as well. But, I mean, he definitely made a mistake there. It wasn't like I don't feel like we really forced him into making that error, but, and I mean, it was green flag still, so the FIA haven't warned us or penalised us, so, you know what, I won't lose sleep over it. Starting lap 10 then, we've got Mick Schumacher still breathing down my neck, but getting a little bit worried actually, because we have got Fernando Alonso, Kevin Magnussen and Sergio Perez all waiting in the wings as well. And of course, yeah, when we make the switch over onto the hard tyres, might really struggle there. Might try and go one lap longer than a lot of these guys to make sure we don't get sorry, so he just jumped when we were on the cold rubber. But yeah, it is still going to be very, very difficult there, as we're still taking a lot of curb through there every time through. But, you know, like I said, the FIA letting us get away with it this weekend. I see Niels Wittich has turned a blind eye. That one even I can't turn a blind eye to. That was not good. I apologise to anyone that had to witness that. But, yeah, we'll see what we can do, though, against all these much, much faster cars, especially in the second half of the Grand Prix. But I just want to score points. Is that too much to ask? Oh, here we go. Alonso now applying the pressure to Mick Schumacher as we head up towards turn 1. Mick Schumacher's almost completely taken me out in this Grand Prix. That could have been 2 takeouts by the Haas cars in today's races, but we live to fight another day this time round, and perhaps that's going to be the key for the rest of the afternoon. Let Mick Schumacher act as a rear gunner for us. That would be rather helpful. Mick, I will give you anything you want if you do this. Lap 12, weirdly, we haven't seen anyone into the pit lane then, right at the front of the field, so everyone just trying to extend the stint a little bit longer then in this Grand Prix. Yeah, no one into the pits here, as I just want to try and sit out for as long as possible. And yeah, look at that, no one behind me is in either. So everyone then perhaps playing a bit of a game of chicken.
7.1 seconds.
I was going to box the end of this one, but maybe we're just going to have to take it a little bit further. So I always forget as well just how good the tyre wear is here at Kota. I mean, we're what, about 50% tyre wear now on these mediums. Not going to gamble it and try and go softs to the checkered flag again, but yeah, it is food for thought later on in this game when the tyre wear's a bit better, and of course I'm a bit smoother as well. There we go, this time through a load of cars into the pit lane. Charles Leclerc, I think Lewis Hamilton, and of course Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix. Rattling over those curves through the final couple of turns. Tyres are starting to give up a little bit, as there goes Mick Schumacher and Fernando Alonso jumping into the pit lane. So, oh no, Mick Schumacher stayed out one more lap, as Perez as well still out here, but we are going to come out in a bit of traffic then. Max Verstappen just re-emerges there as well. Mick Schumacher tries to get the nose up the inside through turn 1, but we hang on for now. So how much are these guys going to struggle as we head through the S's? I mean, the outs is probably going to be not much at all, as you can just see that Red Bull, cold rubber, still absolutely on rails here, as Hamilton, very rare, lucky to get caught up behind the pair of Mick Schumacher and I, but really try and put the power down. At least we'll get some DRS for a little while, and of course we're going to box the end of this one. There we go, tyre wear warning light has just flashed up then in this Grand Prix, so I think this is just about the perfect time to pit then here at Kota, as you can just see those top two. Now they've got the tyres up to temperature, absolutely romp away through this final sector, but into the pits we come. Just make sure we get it slowed down nice and tightly there. Mick Schumacher will get a little bit closer, as you can see Sainz and Esteban Ocon peeling down the exit of the pit lane, but Alonso still ahead of Kevin Magnussen. As we get optimal turning then, it is going to be a race in the pits between our team and the Haas. 2.5 seconds, that's what we need. And we've actually just broken away slightly from the Haas car behind us as we head out of the pit lane. There's Fernando Alonso though. Just going to try and move out towards the racing line there. And Alonso, is he going to be ahead of Mick Schumacher? Mick, I think, is going to try and hang on to this one. But I think Alonso will just have enough as they head down the hill there. In fact, Kevin Magnussen even going to squeeze by as well, as we're still somehow P7 here. But actually, yeah, the tyres don't fire up too badly around this circuit. They're not great early on, but they're not bad either, as Alonso, there was no way there was ever a move going there. Just tried to fling one up the inside. But now, of course, because we pit, we've got a little bit more battery in the car, and we've also got a huge gaggle of cars behind us. Is it just everyone that it once was? Yes, it is. So it's just this bigger train, as that is horrible traction out onto the back straightaway there. Here comes Fernando Alonso. We're going to use a lot of battery to to try and stay with him here as we head down the back straight.
You might make a mistake.
Alonso just trying to hang on and defend his place there as well. We can't hit the sausage curbs. We absolutely cannot hit the sausage curbs there, so we're going to give up that place.
The stewards are going to give you a penalty.
Didn't realise we cut a corner there. We just ran wide and had to avoid floor damage. Is Kevin Magnussen now on the offensive as well? We cannot allow this just to unfold late on in the afternoon. Whoa, that was scary, and Kevin Magnussen is just going to kind of bump me out the way there, I suppose. But we know we've got good pace over the Haas. I feel like the Alpine... Oh, why is Alonso in again? What's Alonso done then in this Grand Prix? That's meant he needs to pit again in this Grand Prix. It's going to mean both myself and K-Mag have still got the DRS there, but we're going to get a big run on the Haas car as we head back down towards turn 1. That was not my finest there, and Kevin Magnussen never wanted to back out either. I apologise. Yeah, that was unbroadcastably bad, I fear. We kind of went for it. K-Mag turned in and just never stopped turning in, but that was a disgusting move by me. And again, viewer discretion is advised. It's not going to stop us, though, in this Grand Prix, as Perez has got no top-end speed in that Red Bull. I wonder if he's nursing a reliability issue later on in this GP, because you really would expect that Red Bull just to fly past the Haas car, but we're just going to try and stick close. This race is not over just yet. I've got a few more tricks up my sleeve that hopefully don't involve murdering Kevin Magnussen. As are we going to be any closer this time around as we head down the back straight? Look at the speed we're gaining on Sergio Perez here. It might be worth trying to have a look for a move. Oh, not quite. Tiny bit of contact there with Sergio Perez, but we know we are staying close here as Mick Schumacher just wants to try and hang on for some good points. Oh, Mick Schumacher, big mistake through the final couple of turns there, and that might allow Sergio Perez through. Sergio Perez now up into P7, but Mick Schumacher's not going to back out of this one, as everyone's starting to trip up late on in the US Grand Prix there. Perez, oh! Perez tries to go defensive through turn 1 there. We just tried to hit the apex and did the all up and under on Mick Schumacher, as we're going to go side by side into the S's. And now we're going to be back up into P8 then. So Sergio Perez has lost 2 places. Sorry, Sergio Perez has gained a place. Mick Schumacher's the one that's lost 2 places in all of this. And now we've only really got one chance to try and keep up with Sergio here. And that's if we get the DRS down the back straight. We might just be able to launch one past him and try and keep him with this little gaggle of cars there. As down towards the bottom of the hill we go. We need to try and get a good run off the exit here. And are we going to be close enough to Sergio Perez? This time around, he'll have no DRS to defend himself. We're gaining on the Red Bull, but we've got next to no battery left. But look at the speed. Look at the speed over Sergio Perez. At the moment, we're going to launch one to the inside. Perez and I, no contact there. Good spot by Sergio, as that was quite the kamikaze dive up the inside there. But somehow, we keep Perez stuck with this group there. Bit of a wheel spin moment as we head through the next corner there. And Sergio Perez is going to again try and come back at me as we go side by side now down in towards the final few corners of the lap, and not letting Sergio get away with that one. Mick Schumacher is even going to squeeze his way back through again. This is getting all a little bit crazy. The elbows are well and truly out. The gloves are well and truly off late on here at the US Grand Prix, and there's still 10 laps to go. Thing is, I know at the moment, Perez, even when Mick Schumacher didn't have the DRS, Perez just can't really do anything against him down at the back straightaway here. So Kevin Magnussen still sat just waiting in the wings. He might be able to have a make a move work on Checo, but yeah, things got very, very heated for a couple of laps. So I'm kind of hoping maybe with a bit of luck we can just sort of sit in front of these guys, because Mick Schumacher and I pretty similar on pace here today, and especially when he's got, you know, dirty air isn't a big factor anymore, but certainly still a factor. Now if I can just keep him sort of 8/10 back, within range so Perez can't get the run, but just far enough back that he can't do anything to me. That's the goal as we head into the final quarter of this US Grand Prix, and what a race result this would be. Oh, we got yellow flags out. I think that's Tsunoda. Tsunoda, who spent the whole day trying to defend himself from other cars. I think he looped it round down in the final sector there. I'm not too sure what he's done, but very odd place. Yeah, Tsunoda must have just looped it on throttle by himself. That's a bit weird. But yeah, now 7 to go. We are just keeping Mick Schumacher at bay here. We've got enough battery just so that we use it in all the right places. So Mick Schumacher just can't get close enough, as Perez still just sat there waiting in the wings. Oh, here we go, 5 to go. Mick Schumacher trying to look to the outside, up the hill in towards turn 1. Make sure we don't lock up there and just make sure we squeeze him out on the apex of the corner. But yeah, feel like the AI now, you know, final 5 laps, just starting to turn up the wick a bit, seeing if they can force me into an error. I know we took a lot out of the rubber early on in the stint to try and defend, but we've just got to keep hitting our apexes. That's the key. 3 laps to go then here from Kota and Mick Schumacher. Maybe he just went for that one big attempt. Didn't quite pay off for him, so he's just sitting back, perhaps waiting to go for another one. But lap 26 out of 28. Bigger picture things. Charles Leclerc, still sat in P3 at the moment, looks dead set to win his very first Formula 1 World Championship here as we head into the dying stages of the US Grand Prix. Ferrari, will they be back on top for the first time since 2007 in the Drivers' Championship and of course 08 in the Constructors? That's the real question on everybody's mind at the moment. Will Charles Leclerc be the man to end the curse?
Okay,
Final lap.
Final lap of the race.
Thanks for confirming that, Mark, here of the US Grand Prix, and Mick Schumacher just seemingly struggling a little bit here to try and keep up with us. We've used the tyres really well, actually, during the second half of this stint, just to make sure we've had enough to defend from Mick. But far more importantly, when you look at the bigger picture, Charles Leclerc, he's only in P3. I thought, honestly, he might try and win this one and win the title in style, but I'm sure, yeah, Ferrari, they just want to safely bring the car home. They've seen heartbreak before so many times in recent years. I'm pretty certain it's Hamilton. He's always gone well here at Kota. He's going to come through and win yet another US Grand Prix. Verstappen P2, but Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz couldn't do it. Fernando Alonso couldn't do it. Felipe Massa couldn't do it. Fernando Alonso, of course, couldn't do it. Sebastian Vettel as well. Charles Leclerc is a Ferrari Formula 1 World Champion there, as Mick Schumacher is going to come back at me on the final lap of the Grand Prix here. Charles Leclerc takes it in style with 3 races to go of the year. A dominant display by Ferrari. I apologise, it's actually George Russell who's went and gone and won his 3rd Grand Prix in a row here. So George Russell has got the taste for winning and certainly doesn't want to forget about it anytime soon. But rounding the final few corners as well for us, we got bolstered up the order in qualifying thanks to many grid penalties. But rounding the final couple of corners, it's going to be P7 at the US Grand Prix, and that, if my maths hasn't failed me, means we jump Aston Martin and AlphaTauri there. The perfect weekend.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
With that, another year of Formula 1 draws to a close and a new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. They take the checkered flag then here in Austin in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we could talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those that we've witnessed today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Daniel Ricciardo would be my driver of the day. He just outright refused to make any mistakes. Perfect driving.
So then, Ferrari have now moved out of sight and out of reach. It's another triumph for the Italian team as they claim the World Constructors' Championship. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action, but with more races lined up. Be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the USGP there. An official confirmation, Charles Leclerc is our 2022 Formula 1 World Champion. Everyone was wondering whether it would be Hamilton or Max Verstappen here, but Ferrari came in 10 races on the bounce they won at the start of the year. It took until Austria before Mercedes could get a look in there, but it is Charles Leclerc who's done enough this year there. George Russell comes through another not pole position, sorry, fastest lap and race victory though, means a full 26 points on the board for him ahead of Verstappen, yeah, Charles Leclerc P3. Hamilton, Sainz, Ocon in the top 6 there, and we come through for 7th, just ahead of Mick Schumacher, Sergio Perez and Kevin Magnussen. What a battle that was later on in the afternoon. Like I said, you know, the elbows were well and truly out, but that's the way it's got to be sometimes there. Not sure how Latifi has come through for P12. That must have been the most almighty of trains later on in the afternoon. But it does mean championship-wise, though, 101 points the gap at the top. Hamilton and Verstappen now tied, actually, in P2 there. Just 5 points clear of Carlos Sainz. But yeah, no one now can knock Charles Leclerc off the top step here in the Drivers' Championship. George Russell making big gains, though, towards that gaggle of cars there as Esteban Ocon re-jumps Lando Norris in the battle for P7. Mick Schumacher jumps Valtteri Bottas, and we're now just 2 points behind Daniel Ricciardo at this stage of the year as well. Then maybe with one more decent result, we could jump the Australian. But constructors-wise, though, that's what we wanted to see. 2-1-2 Motorsport back into P8 overall of the championship there. Now we've just got to try and hold on to it ahead of Aston Martin and AlphaTauri there, because like I said, that is big prize money come the end of the year. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will return very soon, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. That's always a good one. You guys do not want to miss that. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.